Baseball great Ted Williams always said the tool in an athlete's hand is the last thing to leave. And I'm always amazed as I reach 69 of how much power is still attainable by seniors. Ed Rose here has been a premier player for 57 years and maybe won more world titles than anyone else at the major plus level. He's now 77, along with my buddy Steve Imlay, who's 74. We're working on what we can do to see about getting maybe 5 to 10 more mile-an-hour exit speed, maybe more home runs, and basically for most people, hitting balls over the heads of the outfielders that are cheating in on them. Now here's a shot of Ed recently, and I can see, watch at the point of impact, his bat doesn't power through, it hits and dives down. Not enough rotation, not enough arms following the rotation, and then not enough powering through the ball to snap. Now here's Steve Imlay. Watch how he snaps through and keeps on the same plane. The plane that you approach the ball with on the bat head, you should power through. You see, Ed hits, bangs down. He loses power, he's leaving something on the table. Imlay's powers through, and he's getting the maximum amount of power off the rotation. Both swings are very similar. Both guys are the similar age and similar size. There you can see Ed's lack of extension, lack of driving through, just something that's come up maybe by doing a lot of base hitting. Look at Imlay's extension of the arms, following the rotation and snapping through. So I said, hey, I'm going to put together a little clip for Ed, and right here you can see him in his heyday. And for all seniors, anybody who's aging or anybody who doesn't have good rotation, you can see power around, the bat head doesn't drop, powers through. So I had a little clip prepared. Let's watch it. I think it does a pretty good job of explaining rotation, extension, and snap, and how we can improve it. Here's my son Brett. Watch how strong that rotation is. Watch how the hips and the shoulders turn strong. And then look at Bob Waldyke, greatest power hitter of my generation. Watch the hips rotate, the shoulders rotate, watch the hands fall around in an arc, and the bat lags, and then it whips through at the right time. If you leave the wrist loose, boom. Now watch Ed here. Ed, you know, if you're in phenomenal shape for 75 years old, but watch when the bat head hits the ball. It doesn't stay on that same path, that same plane to the bottom half of the ball all the way around. When it reaches the ball, it wants to stop snapping and dive down. The hands dive down. They don't stay on that same plane at the bottom of the ball. Look how they dive down. Look how the bat head doesn't snap through. Now we'll get a side shot here that'll be better, but your rotation is failing on you a little bit, and it's now whipping the bat head through. And I think part of it too is maybe you're rolling over, maybe you're not keeping in a palm down, palm up position, but leave the bat head when you reach impact. Instead of snapping through and whipping through, watch your hands dive ahead. Your hands go outside the rotation and they reach ahead. They don't power all the way around in an arc like you saw in that overhead view of Brett or that picture of Waldyke. Now, I don't know what goes through anybody else's head, but I can just tell you what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to power in an arc. I'm feeling the bat lag behind, and then I feel a whip, and my wrists are loose. I'm keeping in a good rotation. Watch how that snaps through compared to what you're doing. That's what you're missing on it, Ed. Good to this position here, then all of a sudden, look at it. Bang, it hits it. It doesn't whip through. It bounces off and down because you're not powering around in an arc. And part of that is you're reaching ahead a little bit. You're just not powering around strong enough on an arc, and that's something I see on myself and I see on a lot of hitters as we age. Right there, you're still powering around an arc, and the bat head whips through. Just a matter of changing a couple little things here. Again, watch the hands slow down. They stop whipping the bat head through, and they reach ahead. It's almost like you're reaching way, way out ahead instead of following the rotation around. Side views are where we really see it good. I think you say you have a bad knee. I think your rotation of the hips and shoulders start out nice. And it looks good up to here, but then look what happens when you make impact. You don't continue to power the hands around following the rotation of the hips and shoulders, and the bat of the hands just reach ahead and down, and you cleave underneath it. You're only transferring a small percentage of that power of the bat head to the ball. And it's not so much launch angle rotation, your hips and that are turning well, it's just your hands stop following the rotation around. I'll show you a few other examples here. Again, rotation of the hips and shoulders. Watch the hands power around. They stay up on the plane of the ball, and they continue to rotate the back, lags, and then it whips through. It's not so much that you're forcing your wrist to snap it around, but as Scott Kirby says, your hips will snap your wrists. The centrifugal force of a really good rotation is going to allow that to happen. And look at your shoulders. They're hardly turning there. Your head's facing the head. Your whole upper body is not turning and pulling around. Now, in this session here, I tried to really just swing in an arc. So watch the hips here. Hips turn good. Next frame, watch the shoulders. Watch the shoulders. There's no slowdown. They continue to turn all the way around. Now watch the hands. Are the hands being pulled all the way around in rotation like you see Brett's? Yeah, look at the bat legs, man. Look at the hands pull all the way around. And finally, watch the bat head. When the hands reach a certain point, that bat head's going to give you resistance. It's going to want to whip through like cracking a whip. That's how you get a good swing. You don't force a snap, but you feel it. And right here, Ed, you're just not getting enough rotation. Your hands are veering off the path. You may be rolling over a little bit with your lead wrist, but you know, if you can just power around in an arc, keep the hands falling around like Brett does here. Watch how little rotation or extension you see outside the arc here. Looks like there's hardly any extension at all. While Brett starts with his lead arm back, and so there's less extension on that lag and snap than you think when you watch it from the side, because that's a linear view. Here you can see it's dominated by the rotation. So all you got to do is keep pulling those hands around. Part 3. Let's look at one other set here. Watch the hips. Hips rotate. Watch the shoulders. They rotate in sync. All right. Watch the hands follow the rotation around. Lead shoulders pulling the hands in that rotation, pull them right around, and the wrists are just flexing. As the bat comes around, that centrifugal force is going to throw the bat head forward. There's a lag. Centrifugal force is going to let that bat head whip. Your wrists are loose and relaxed, and the bat head whips around. Look at it. Everything's on the same plane. And whether you want to hit for home runs, line drives, or topspin, all you got to do is aim at the part of the ball. Greatest hitter of my generation for power, Bob Waldyke. And again, Waldyke, you see the same things. Watch the hips. Great rotation. Watch the upper body rotate around. Watch the hands now follow that around. Hands follow the lead arms, connect the lead hand. They follow around in the rotation like you see Brett's. And then the wrists are loose. Watch how there's arm extension and everything else. But that just comes because there's a lag and a snap. The centrifugal force is throwing the hands, letting them follow the hips. And then if your wrists are loose, that bat head's going to lag and whip on its own. But the rotation's got to be the dominant part of it. And that, I think, right here, your rotation slows your hands. Let your hands go ahead and dive down. You just are letting the hands follow the rotation. Your rotation can be better. Look at Waldyke's. They stay up on the plane of the ball. Look at, Brett's here again. Rotation strong. So work on that rotation. Work on letting the hands follow that to the point of the bottom half of the ball on that plane, and you'll have a tremendous amount of improvement out of that. There's no reason at 75 why you shouldn't still have 350-foot power with consistency. You're a freak of nature and still in great shape for that age. Good luck.